people are going to want to know, right? My mom would be like, "Well, what happened to him?"
He had a heart
She'd be
attack while he was fucking me. That's what happened.
like, right? Like you would,
But someone would probably say it like that because they'd be so shocked. He was fucking me and he died. So in recording this, at any point the building could either collapse or the power could go out.
Yep.
Power going out is more likely, but the building could collapse. We are facing heavy storms.
Dude, take a look at these brick wall. This nice brick wall back here. Yeah, it's got a little bit of age to it.
Honestly,
a little bit
guys,
of a little bit of a leak problem.
I'd like to. I feel like we're just over a month into 2022 now, and I feel like we haven't been bringing enough 2022 energy into this podcast.
Dude,
and like,
show us what it looks
I got
like.
some 2022
because I feel
energy
like
for you.
that there, Jared, that statement was like a 2020 or like a 2021 statement.
Sure,
you know,
it's true.
like the building could fall down.
Yeah,
like not
true.
in 2022.
Yeah.
That was a 2020 statement.
2022 is
2021
yeah,
even.
we're coming back
All
in
right.
2022.
All right. I see that, and I'm going to All right. So we'll cut all that.
Okay,
Just-
sweet.
starting
Okay,
the
we're starting
podcast
now.
here.
Okay.
All right. Feel Good Friday 99. Here we go.
Okay.
Guys, today my dick could fall off.
Whoa.
Now that could happen, or maybe the power will go out, but more likely my dick's gonna fall off today.
That's good energy.
How's that
Thanks for
2022
thanks for
energy for
bringing
you?
Does that feel good for
Thanks
you?
for bringing the energy.
No.
I feel like you misinterpreted what Brian was saying
Yeah.
there, but you know, whatever.
Sorry. Oh, sorry.
You want to start again?
Yeah, let's just start again.
Okay.
All right. I got you now.
Okay.
2022 energy.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yo, two things could happen today, guys. Power could go out, very likely. Or we could all just take our clothes off and start fucking each other just randomly. And it makes
Whoa.
no sense, but it's just going to happen on the podcast because of the tension, the sexual
honestly,
tension.
Because there was a lot of sexual
Jared,
tension between us.
I think you're missing. I don't mean 2020 as well energy. I mean 2022, like the full number 2022,
Okay.
not 2020 as well.
All right. I got it this
Okay.
time. I got it this time for real.
Okay.
All right, welcome everyone to Feel Good Friday. This is the 99th Feel Good Friday episode. Here's something wild. I got a listener mail here.
Okay.
We'll start with some listener mail.
Sounds good.
This was sent to us in the year of 2022.
Okay.
That's a
Sounds
good start.
Yeah, that's a good, great start.
All right, and so here's the letter, and this is legit. Hey boys, I'm a longtime listener since the very first episode. When I was in school becoming a nutritionist, I was able to listen to the experiences of your guests, and it helped me humanize the pathopsychology I was learning about. That feels like a lifetime away now, and not why I am writing, but also thank you for that.
No problem.
You have all helped in another way. Listening to your podcast with the author of Escaping Utopia, Yanya Lalick, made me realize that I was in a cult, one of the wellness / mental health / healing cults.
Whoa.
This that started 2022 energy-esque. This is going.
We're sliding back.
We're
We're sliding
slipping here.
backwards. We're slipping
If
back.
this
no,
letter could be retroactively
Well-
turned up a little bit.
Well, you haven't let it finish yet. I mean, this could be going into 2022 energy. Here we go.
Okay, yep.
There were masters in counseling degrees and law degrees and very educated folks leading the workshops, meetings, and sessions.
I'm familiar with Nexium.
Yeah, this does give off some Nexium vibes. There is a storefront and success stories. It all seemed so legit. My mom brought me into work on our relationship, but I was asked to come in alone after that session. I guess she wasn't cult material, LOL. Those are just a few reasons I justified so much. I felt special, like I was chosen. Not everyone gets to be as involved as I was asked to be. It felt good. The first time your episode came into my ear holes, I turned it off because I knew I, quote, shouldn't listen. They outright say that they are not a cult. That's a fucking, there's a fucking sign. Not a metaphorical sign, but a framed sign in the shop.
If you're
that says
ever the organizer of a group and you feel like you have to keep saying to people that, by the way, this group is not a cult.
We are not a cult.
Not to make light of this, I'm very sorry that you're going through this, but we should make a framed signed picture that says we are not a cult and put it on the set.
We should, yeah.
That's a good idea.
They directly address it, and this is a common tactic of theirs. Great PR. The episode came into the lineup again when I was on a long drive, and I listened through, and then I was like, well, fuck. Every one of the points on the
man.
cult checklist was ticked.
Wow.
I was driving and felt sick to my stomach, but because of my programming, I directed the feelings to something else that I had to work on, something that I was doing wrong, a place that I needed to heal in myself. But I mean, like, they even have a movement philosophy that you're pressured / peer pressured / guilted into participating in, a quote, moving meditation, if you will. Like, they tick all the fucking boxes. I didn't know how I was going to address it. I thought I could just back away, but I got the opportunity to face it head on when I got the most fucked up phone call from the leader this New Year's Eve. I will add here that I was not a great cult member. I was usually in trouble or judged harshly for not running things by the people who, quote, know what's best for me and my highest healing and future when making decisions. This was considered dark. I like unconventional things. I'm always drawn to them. I still am. But this shit was straight up unethical, harmful, and abusive. I had the idea that I was so broken that I needed some next level healing modalities. And at the same time, underneath all the broken I was feeling, I was finally being seen and that I belonged. Don't get me wrong, though. There was some healing that happened in the beginning, of course. And then there was not. There was owing to an infinite debt. On the night I got this phone call from the leader, I went into a panic attack as the reality was setting in. I remembered the podcast and it helped me. I called a friend. I told her the truth about it all, including the details that I didn't share before. She was shocked at how much I was leaving out. I was too. I didn't realize how much I was leaving out of my stories. That's a part of it, the secret society. I spent the rest of the night listening to the podcast again and taking notes, writing the cult checklist and crying. My reality was shattered, but I could feel the validation in me growing. All the times I was told to focus on myself, or that I was distracting myself from my own healing when I spoke up about seeing things I didn't agree with. This was to others, not the leader, that never went over well. I review this cult list often to keep my brain right. So, yeah, there's a lot more to this story. It's been 21 days. I've been free, and each of those days I've had to block a new number from contacting me. I guess they know that I know a lot, and I know some of them are like I was, and truly care and are worried about me. I also know a lot. I was in the inner circle after all. I'm considering applying for the show. I'm considering sharing my experience. If anything, I have a story that can help someone else. I'm grateful for those 5 years are over. I'm grateful for the podcast and Escaping Utopia and my Apple Podcast list for bringing that episode back into rotation. So thanks for helping me leave a cult.
That is so... Okay, like, just on the surface level, like, okay, we're sitting in the library, 6 years ago trying to figure out what we can work on together. How nuts is it that, like, out of that was the inadvertent capacity to help somebody leave a cult?
It's wild.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, and that just goes to show the importance and the power of meaningful conversations. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna leave the name of this person out. We'll keep this anonymous. But to the person that wrote this, thank you. Thank you for sharing this with us and our listeners. And we are so glad that you are hopefully on your way into a 2020, like big 2022 energy going forward, leaving this cult and finding yourself.
There we are.
Released from the grips of what this is, because it's really fucking scary, and we're rooting for you.
Yeah. And I do want to highlight that, like, I mean, a huge thank you to Yanya for coming on and having that conversation with us, because if it wasn't for her coming on and educating us, then there wouldn't have been that sort of secondhand experience that this letter writer had. And so to anybody who's thinking about sharing their story, whether it's on this podcast or whether it's with friends or family, your story has the power to greatly impact someone else's life. So,
or yourself.
Yeah.
You know, like in this case, calling her friend and telling her friend the truth about everything that happened. Like that takes a lot of guts. That takes a lot of bravery. And just by sharing that story, it seems in turn helped this person quite a bit.
You know what's crazy about cults? I was watching The Vow, which was the HBO doc on Nexium, and I think that one of the most wild things about them is that on their surface, like before you go and are ever exposed to the underbelly of a cult, the surface is always seems
shiny,
so nice,
shiny.
Like when I was watching that doc and they were showing these whatever they were called, executive coaching something.
Yeah,
I was like, dude, this is just like a couple of shades removed from like what you're gonna hear at like
yoga teacher
like
training.
a yoga teacher training. Like
Yes.
it's just like a slightly different way of saying a very similar thing, and it's based around self-reflection and trying to become like a more mindful you, to exist, you know, as a you know, as the best version of yourself for your friends and your family and everything. And then obviously, you know, it devolves
it's the
into
power
this craziness.
dynamics and like the control and shit that like ruins some of that stuff, because like what you're talking about on the surface is like all of the positive things that like the, you know, self-betterment and, you know, connection with your true self or uncovering your true self, and like executive coaching in Nexium's case is like really was like about this like self-betterment. But then when you start to like add a hierarchy to that and then start manipulating and influencing people's behaviors based on, you know, their vulnerabilities and insecurities, then that's when it gets really fucking dark.
And if you can show them that you have the ability to help them in this place that's like actually very useful, then that skews their perception of what you're actually doing when you ask them to do this other thing.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, well, you were so good at helping me in this, then this thing that kind of tickles my brain in a weird way, you kind of justify like, oh, there must be something here that I don't see, because they were able to help me in this way. So this is probably going to help me in a way that I don't understand yet.
I don't get why cult leaders can't just like start like an MLM instead. Like, why do they have to be so fucking?
Some of them do
like lame about it. Like, can't you just?
I mean,
like,
that's what Nexium was.
But like, can't you just start like a normal like a
doTERRA.
Arbonne
Like an
or like
Herbalife.
like do shit like that.
I just said doTERRA. There's someone listening to this that's so pissed right now.
We all said an example of one that for sure there's somebody listening to.
If they don't know that they're MLMs, then it's
fine.
And MLMs are legal entities.
But that's my point about like, if you want to do that thing, do it legally in a way that's like
control people just like within the confines of the law.
Yeah.
Why do you gotta control people?
Why do you gotta control their buttholes? Like that's where
yeah.
Like, well, come on, man.
You can't really joke about that, because then like there are.
I mean that was Nexium. Is like as soon as buttholes start getting involved, it's like well that's a problem.
Yeah. Can't control
like
buttholes.
sex cults.
Yeah.
And stuff.
Yeah.
Well, this was like sort of working towards 2022 energy in some weird way.
Here's some 2022 energy.
Do you have a dog video or something?
I have something that's just as satisfying as a dog video.
Yes. Thank you.
How good would this feel? This is what I think is an ingrown hair.
Oh.
How much hair do you think is in there? Watch this. Ready
wow.
for this? This is wild.
What part of the body are we looking at
I
here?
don't know.
Wow.
You're just listening to this.
Look at this.
Wow.
Look at this.
You
Look at this.
owe it to yourself.
Dude, it's a fucking
Wow.
magic
Go
trick.
to YouTube
Whoa.
and watch how
That's not it, though.
satisfying this is.
It's not just
Oh
that.
my god. Have you guys had an ingrown hair that looks?
I've had
like
an ingrown
that?
hair, but not this gnarly. This is something else.
I've had one.
Dude, look at that. Watch.
Whoa.
This is
No.
unbelievable.
Oh god.
Is there
I
more?
can see how this would make someone like kind of queasy and sick. But there's something so insanely satisfying.
I find it
my
gross,
goodness.
but it makes me salivate at the same time.
That's you might want to talk to your therapist about that, Brett.
No, it's not that weird. Honestly, there's people listening who feel the same way.
I've had one ingrown hair that had like where you could it was on the surface, and you could see like that it was like
Coiled?
You could see that it not coiled, but you could see it underneath like this
snaking.
like underneath the like thinnest layer of skin. Like you could see the hair underneath the skin.
Sure. Like you could see, like it was a vein or something.
Yeah,
right.
And it
wasn't coiled up in one spot. It was lengthening out,
and it hurt real bad.
I've never had.
But before I noticed that that's what it was, or before it revealed itself, it seemed like it was a pimple.
When you say it hurt, because I think the only place I've probably had like an ingrown hair is when I like if I shave my neck, maybe I get like either a rash or pimple or something like that.
Yours was on your dick?
It was near my
but like
dick.
it just turns into like sort of a pimple, I guess, and then it would pop. But like, what type? Can you describe your dick ingrown hair? Like when, don't describe what it looked like, but describe
I mean,
what you already did. But
it's just a hair
like,
in
what is
proximity to my dick. It doesn't resemble
hair.
my dick.
So the hair, the ingrown hair on the head of your dick.
It started on his pelvis,
and
it went, and he saw it grow through the length of his shaft.
Wait, guys, this
and he
wasn't
pulled
really
it out
that
of his
far.
pee hole.
Guys, how did this? No.
Right?
No. We've gotten carried away here.
This is the crazy. I had no idea that this was a
Honestly,
thing.
is this a what
Please
the hell?
tell us more, dude.
guys. No. This isn't. No. How did this get from the base?
Yo, this is straight 2022 energy.
Yes, it is.
This is unexpected.
I saw it snaking out of the head of my penis. I pulled it. It was actually the length of my entire colon. It was super painful. I don't understand. It broke the barrier. You know what is crazy though? So Loki, have you ever had one of Loki's hairs get stuck in your toe, get stuck in your foot?
No.
Loki's hairs, because they're short and obviously very fine, and they will get. I'll walk around the house and I'll go and it feels like I've stepped on a piece of glass, and it's a hair that sticks right. It like slides right underneath that top layer of your skin, and it feels like glass cutting your foot.
I honestly, I don't believe you when you say that. I feel like a doctor listening to a patient that is describing like some made up symptoms, because in my head I'm like, that just can't be real. Like it just can't be a real thing that exists.
If you lived at my house for a week, you'd get.
I had lived at your house for a week.
I don't know. I understand how you didn't get them. Well, Loki probably wasn't there. Or was he there?
Ask any barber. Ask any barber. Ask any barber, and they'll be like, "Oh, that's a problem."
Yeah,
but
I've had it. I've had it a bunch.
Wait, are barbers cutting people's hair in bare feet?
They just end up in your. They just end up.
My
in
barber,
your
my barber,
shit.
Jeremy at Oddfellows. I always go in after hours, and he's just full dick out.
He
like,
cuts
naked.
with his feet.
Yeah, that's right. On his hands, cuts with his feet.
Does he cut dick hairs though too? Like if Taylor had to get the one that was like he pulled so far out, but he realized it was the length of his colon and he couldn't keep pulling.
Guys, what is this episode?
Did he have to get a haircut?
What happened? What happened to us?
We
changed. 2022 changed us. Hey, here's some actual 2022 news.
Hold on. Is that video? That was just like
that was it. I just wanted to show you guys a fucking.
I appreciate it.
I actually was. Wait. Before we move on, I actually did have a serious question about the ingrown hair pain. Like when you're talking about that type of pain, is it like?
It's like an
ingrown
pain,
zit. Or like what does it feel like?
It's like pimple. It is. It's like it's a bad pimple.
Yeah,
That's
you know when you get those pimples that are, like a little bit further under your skin that never end up popping, but they're just really sore.
I don't think I've ever had like a really sore pimple like that. Like
fuck you then.
I think I've had like a like if
I have one right now, right here.
If I've like picked one, then maybe it feels like a little bit like burny.
The ones that get like real red.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That never have a white head.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't relate.
Jesus Christ, dude.
I've had lots of pimples, but like I can't identify with the pain.
I think 99.999% of people listening to this podcast are going, "Excuse me?"
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you think our audience of the podcast would judge people based on their experience of what it's like to live in, their unique lives?
I certainly hope so.
I don't disagree.
All right, let's move on.
Here's some 2022 energy. BC physicians can now prescribe Parks Canada Discovery Pass to encourage people to get outside.
That is incredible.
This is big
Honestly,
2022 energy.
Right? This was sent to us by someone by the name of Jeffrey Lonis. Never heard of him.
Yeah.
Thanks for sending this, Jeffrey, for a random text. It had my number, and he was saved in my
weird.
A visit to the doctor's office can now result in a legit prescription for a Parks Canada Discovery Pass to encourage British Columbians to spend more time in nature. It's part of a program launched just over a year ago in partnership with the BC Parks Foundation, which saw local physicians prescribing time outdoors to improve overall health. But now, physicians across BC and several other provinces are able to prescribe the year-long pass, which covers admission to more than 80 parks across Canada. Family physician and director of the parks program, Dr. Melissa Lem, joined CTV Morning to discuss unprecedented prescription. It's the first time in Canada that a doctor or a nurse or licensed healthcare professional can actually prescribe nature with something extra to their patients. Lem said if a doctor registered to prescribe through the PARX program believe a patient could benefit from a dose of nature, they just have to click a box on the Parks prescription website where they're logging the patient's nature prescription. How hilarious!
It sounds so funny, but it's so great.
The BC Parks Foundation will then mail the patient a free Parks Canada Discovery Pass, which would typically cost $72.25 for an adult, whereas admission's already free for youth 17 and under. Lem said it's important that the passes get to the patients who need them the most and can use them the most. Quote, we're asking prescribers to prioritize people where the cost of the pass might be a barrier to accessing nature, and also people who live close to those national parks. She added that prescribing nature itself, even without the pass, is a powerful intervention. This is really interesting. Research shows that when your doctor writes something down, that increases your motivation that you'll actually do it, as opposed to just giving a recommendation. You know, so your doc goes, well, you know, maybe you should spend a little bit of time outside. If your doctor goes, all right, I'm going to write on this piece of paper here that says get outside, research shows that people will go, oh, my doctor wrote it and gave it to me on a slip of paper. I'm going to go do it.
Really interesting.
It makes me like, I
wonder if they'll start writing prescriptions for no smoking. I'm going to write you
maybe.
My initial reaction is like, oh, it's so amazing. Like as somebody who's been, who really believes that like my mental health can be greatly impacted by the time that I spend outdoors. Like I think that that's awesome that they're doing that. It also makes me like mad that national parks cost money to go to. And like, I understand that there's upkeep and the facilities and stuff. And you know, as somebody who's visited national parks,
also,
I understand that.
Like we were just in Cape Breton, and like, when you pass the sign that says national park, like everything just becomes better.
Yeah.
Like immediately.
But then gating that off from people who just like live
But
on
how
the
many
land,
fucking times have you ever come up to the gate and
but it's not
actually
gated.
and didn't have a pass?
It is gated. It
but
costs money to access.
I know, but how many
Oh.
times have you been driving like through Banff or something and you come up to one of those like kiosks where you're like, oh, I got to stop and like buy my pass. And there's no one there. Like, there's no one fucking working there. And you're like, well, I guess I'm in for free.
I'm
like,
not going to talk about how I approach those gates on a public podcast, but
I'm
yeah,
just saying no one was there. What am I supposed to do?
I
Wait
mean-
until they arrive the next day?
I mean, like it's just this. It's just like it's going. I can't help. I just disagree with you mostly because like
You're
everything,
allowed to.
because everything else, every other piece of national or government land is like, I mean, you're paying for that already with the taxes that you pay. So it's like you pay this like little bit extra.
Yeah, but which
for
is
like,
but that's
for
crazy
them
to me.
take care of, like very actively take care of some of the most important
that's crazy to
land
me.
in this country with some of like the most important biodiversity and wildlife.
Right, but
my
why
point
can't
is you
why
don't
can't
have
that
to
just
pay.
why
You don't. You really don't
I'm
have
saying,
to pay. You can just sneak in. It's really easy, guys.
I'm not.
You just sneak. Or you just don't. You just drive up and you go, I'm not paying, and then you drive.
I'm just
And
saying, if you go to Parliament Hill
just
and you
steal.
want to
Steal,
walk
steal,
on
steal,
the
steal.
and you want to walk on the Parliament Hill grounds, you don't have to pay.
You do pay
money.
for that.
Yes,
You pay it in your taxes.
exactly. Yes,
You
but-
pay with a
but-
bullet.
but
Is
that's
what you do. You
because-
can't just
that's
walk on that
because-
grounds. You pay with a bullet to your fucking dome, dude.
That's
They got
because-
snipers up
that's
on
because
that fucker.
The government has determined that that land to be used for that purpose is important enough that 100% of that will be paid for by taxes.
So you're butthurt that they've given you the option to pay
To give you the option to pay, but
instead of paying fully in your taxes.
Well, I think that you could reallocate the spending because we've like, I'm not going to go into what I think you should take the money out of to pay for it, but I think that there's a number of things that I would say the government spends money on that they don't need to, where the parks could be a higher priority, given the fact that doctors are now prescribing prescriptions to people to be able to access them. Like, I would say that there are definitely things that we pay for that I would disagree with our priorities in government spending. You think that everything that you would prioritize, if you had a list itemized of every single government spending line?
Guys, who cares? I just wanted to talk about how doctors can give you a prescription to go to the fucking park. That's cool.
It is cool.
Yeah.
That's a cool thing.
It's sweet that it's finally free to go into nature for those people who have a medical requirement to now do so.
Well, here's an interesting quote here. Nature prescriptions really do have the potential to revolutionize how we think about the role of outdoor spaces in our health. We want nature to become one of the 4 pillars of health, just as important as diet, sleep, and exercise for preventing disease and promoting well-being. Lem said that there's a lot of research that shows, and I think most of us know this, that spending time outdoors can improve all kinds of different health conditions, from diabetes and high blood pressure to cancer care, anxiety, and depression. Being outdoors is important. The Parks Canada Discovery Pass can also be prescribed by physicians in Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and
No one says
Ontario. We're working on launching across the country over the next year, said Lem. So pretty soon, anyone across Canada will be able to benefit from this program and get a free pass. Lem told CTV News healthcare professionals who are registered with the Parks program will have the ability to independently describe passes to patients during regular visits. Now, here's the thing. Do you think that this will be taken advantage of the exact same way that medical marijuana was taken advantage of in this country? Go.
Yes. I hope it is. Because at the end of the day, if they do that, then the national parks will get more money, and that will be subsidized through, like, that'll be a healthcare cost, and that'll be a proactive healthcare cost that if more people spend more time outside, even just taking the physical benefit of going outside and walking around and putting that to the side, the mental health benefit. I mean, I know all of you have been into a national park in either BC or Alberta. Like,
never experienced it.
Yes, you have.
Of national park, never been in a single one.
Shut the fuck up. It's so insane. I mean, I know I take the ocean scene here for granted because I've lived here my whole life, but like in Nova Scotia on the East Coast, but like when I think of national parks, I think of like driving Banff or Jasper or Yoho and like, and I mean, they just like, there's something that it does to your psyche.
Yeah. I'm curious how though, like, is the important part, it's not the money, it's the prescription to go to the national park, because I would assume, because otherwise, if somebody who can't afford to go to the national park, like, think about where all national parks are located and how you get there in the first place.
Yeah. It's
you
not
have
easy
to
get to.
You have to either drive a car or pay for transport to get there.
Well, not necessarily. Citadel Hill is a national park.
Yeah, I know, but like that's not one you'd prescribe. A doctor would prescribe you to go to get out in nature.
Well, I think it's a national park.
I think the whole point of this is, I think you're thinking about it too much. I think the point of this is just literally a way for doctors to just change the way that they converse with their patients about the importance of being outside.
Yeah, so I'm just highlighting.
This is the most surprising critique.
It's just highly annoying.
Hey, listen,
that you're taking this stance so staunchly, take your heels out of the fucking dirt.
I don't have any. I don't have any staunch stance about anything. I'm just asking questions about it.
Here. This might answer some of your questions.
I'm sorry that
if a doctor wants to prescribe it, here's how they can. So they say on the Parks website, how much should I prescribe? And it says 2 hours a week with 20 minutes at a time. So research shows that people who spend at least 2 hours per week in nature report significantly better health and well-being. When it comes to the mental health benefits of nature, science suggests that the most efficient drop in cortisol happens between the 20 to 30-minute mark.
Yeah, but that's 6,
which is essentially like taking a nap.
You know what? I actually agree with Brian, because who's got time to take 6 trips to a national park? If you factor in the amount of time that it takes to get in the car, to go to the park, to be at the park, to leave the park, you got to do that 6 times over, 20 minutes each time. How the fuck are you supposed to, dude? What? This is actually just trying to drain the pockets of the average Canadian, and I won't stand for it.
It is kind of dumb though when you break it down. It's kind of fucking dumb, to be honest. Like, this is something that I felt when I read the headline. I was like, this is what a nice fucking thing. And now I'm like, honestly, kind of fucking dumb. Like,
you brought up valid points about accessibility and things like that.
No, sure. Taylor really, he was just hitting the nail.
But honestly, all I wanted to do was just talk about how you can get a fucking prescription to go to the park.
What I'm really curious about is I want people to go on our Discord right now and join in the episode discussion channel and let us know your thoughts, because I'm really curious. Do you support my critique, or do you support these guys' frivolous government spending habits?
Yeah.
On
what
on
are your
going
go to our Discord. Let us know what you think about taxes.
All right.
COVID, I'm thinking about marginalized people who can't get there. You guys aren't considering that, and that's my critique of you guys.
No, I was considering that. That just wasn't what I wanted to touch on or focus on or think about. I'm trying to give 2022 energy, moving forward, positivity, and ignoring all the things that are bad. Okay. That's 2022, okay? Just ignore the bad.
Sweep. Just start
everything
to
goes
under the rug. Just sweep it under the rug.
All right.
Did we not learn anything?
Speaking of bad, COVID.
Dude, I hate that word. I honestly, we should do like a 1 month where we don't even say the word anymore.
So this is all about the Ollie factory. Is that how you pronounce it? Ollie factory. Ola factory.
Ola.
The loss of smell, which is something we've talked about on the show. We've heard about this. Everyone's heard about the fact that, if you get COVID, oftentimes people lose their ability to smell.
Sorry, what did you refer to it as? The
olfactory. Your olfactory senses. It's like your it's your schnoz.
Okay. Didn't know that.
So a loss of smell and taste are two distinct symptoms of COVID-19, and for some people they don't return. What a bummer.
Kyla's got a friend. 3 or 4 months, no taste or smell. Yeah.
Okay, well, this is even worse. For others, I think this is worse. For others, it returns, but in a really distorted and fucked up way.
Whoa. That's interesting.
There is a definite impact of quality of life, although some people can recover after olfactory training, according to scientific studies. So is this permanent? What are we learning about preventing and ending long COVID? Minka Schofield, MD, who's associate professor at an ear, nose, and throat specialist at the Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center, said during an interview.
Yeah, Buckeyes!
Sorry. Cynthia Rosie. Is that a name of Cynthia Rosie? That problems. Oh, no, I'm sorry. She was saying this to some woman named Cynthia Rosie. I was like, Cynthia Rosie's a problem? She said to Cynthia that problems can range from all smells smelling like, this is fucked, all smells smelling like garlic. I wouldn't mind that. I don't mind the smell of garlic. I like it.
I like the smell of garlic.
Cigarette smoke.
Sorry, what is this? You can't smell it, or you can only smell it?
There is a problem where people get their sense of smell back, but when they do, everything that they smell, coffee, a fart,
that's bad.
Fucking flowers, smells like garlic, or smells like cigarette smoke, or smells like human shit.
These are things, okay, besides the human shit, because cigarettes and garlic,
I get tired of cigarettes quick. I love the smell of a good cigarette. Yeah. I get tired of everything smelling like a cigarette.
Right, exactly. That's what I mean. Like there's certain brands of cigarette that a little whiff of it and you go like, oh, that's not too bad. But then you
can tell the difference between cigarette brand smoke.
Yeah, definitely.
I can, yeah.
And he can't even smell. So what the fuck are you doing, Brian?
Yeah, not smelling cigarettes, I guess.
Because my grandfather was a big smoker.
And garlic is very much the same story. I mean, you might walk into a house and go, oh, you cooking with garlic?
Yeah.
I mean, if they're still cooking with garlic an hour later, fuck them.
Yeah,
you don't want none of that.
Yeah,
it's gonna be nasty.
Yeah, I mean, you get tired of it all, but the shit,
that's bad.
You'd never get tired of that.
Why those smells?
I don't know. So this is called Fantosmia or Phantasmia, which is a person's total loss of smell but with it a sense. Sorry, so to a person's total loss of smell, which is anosmia, and with it the sense of taste. But Fantosmia it stands for phantom smell. So it's also called olfactory hallucination or phantom odor. Is a smelling an odor that's not actually there. It can occur in one nostril or both. That's fucking weird.
That's super weird.
Unpleasant phantosmia, cacosmia, is more common, and it is often described as smelling something that is burned, foul, spoiled, or rotten.
Ugh.
Experiencing occasional phantom smells is normal and usually goes away on its own over time. When hallucinations of this type do not seem to go away, or when they keep coming back, it can be very upsetting and can disrupt an individual's quality of life.
That's some 2020 shit right there.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you can't smell coffee, we would call that perhaps a loss of smell, especially if you're not smelling other items as well, Schofield said. Quote, this has been a more common complaint that we're finding in patients who have had the COVID infection. The other problem that I'm finding is Fantosmia, which is, why do I smell smoke? I'm smelling cigarette smoke constantly. Or I'm smelling feces constantly and it's not there.
Wow.
And she said, quote, I have one patient who complains of garlic smell constantly, knowing that it's not there. Those are the things that are happening most often.
I think that shit would just drive you
fucking mad.
Drive you nuts. Like it's more,
Dude, absolutely.
It's more of a ultimately probably an impact on your mental health.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys could only smell one smell for the rest of your lives, what would that one smell be?
Pizza.
Yeah,
No,
like a greasy pepperoni pizza.
No, dude. I mean, respect to the business.
Actually, no,
that's
I got it.
underneath us, but like,
I got it.
it smells like a bakery.
You're right. You're right.
every
I got
day,
it.
And
I
I
got
don't
it.
like it.
I got it. Water.
Well, that doesn't have a smell.
Perfect.
So that's not. But you
Perfect.
can't smell anything.
And that's the life I'm living now, and I feel great.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so
I can't smell farts. I can't. I can smell coffee. I can smell cigarettes. I can smell really, really, really strong stuff. I can smell your brand of farts.
Yeah,
you can't.
Taylor,
but
I want to know
water. Yeah, I'll smell water all day, every day.
I want to know your scent too, and then also I'd like to know, like, if you had to smell that scent for the rest of your life, what are the situations it would be optimal in, and what are the situations you'd be like, maybe not for that situation.
What's the smell that I
Yeah,
want?
one
of all
smell.
time? One smell. I don't know, man. Maybe vanilla. Vanilla.
That's
Where
actually a
nice.
really good one. I
where
would
would
love that. I
where would that be
love that.
optimal, and
That's
where
my
would
favorite
that
smell.
be
It's my
pretty
favorite.
nice.
It's my favorite scent.
suboptimal?
Suboptimal.
Suboptimal smelling vanilla would be if there's a gas leak in your house. That's
would be-
that's suboptimal.
That
Because you're
would
just
be
sitting there going,
suboptimal. It smells so
"Oh my
good.
God.
Yeah, you're really breathing. Really,
"This is great.
really breathing.
I'm
in.
getting really dizzy."
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. That would be suboptimal.
Yeah.
And optimal. I mean, it's optimal pretty much.
Yeah, it'd be a good
Yeah.
way to go.
It's optimal everywhere.
Be a good
And
way.
I'm,
even in the suboptimal, yeah, it's optimal.
I'm definitely a coffee person, or like mint, or even dry, like a fresh linen. Fresh
Freshly
linen.
ground coffee beans.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
post anal sex. That's a great. That's a great smell.
All right, let's
Like,
move on. Let's.
Are
Like,
you
this- like your Santorum, like the smell of Santorum.
A study published by Oxford University Press said that in the abstract that smell distortions negatively affect quality of life with distorted smell, quote, showing a higher range of severity than Fantosmia, which is smell without an odor actually prompting it.
Can I just tell everybody, if you don't know what Santorum is, can you just everyone just give that a quick Google?
No, nobody should.
What
don't-
Santorum is on Urban Dictionary.
It's worth Googling where the name came from.
It's worth knowing
that's
what
the-
it is and
yeah,
where it's
yeah.
from.
Although doctors can try steroid therapy, it doesn't always work. Quote, oftentimes we try steroid therapy, but there is really no consistent evidence that steroid therapy is effective, particularly in COVID infection. But it is worth trying, whether that's via a pill or a nasal spray. One treatment Schofield recommends is to teach the nose and brain to learn to smell again through reminding it what common objects smell like. A simple way is to hold an object directly under your nose, take a big sniff, and say to yourself the name of the object while taking a deep whiff and saying, "This is a lemon. This is a lemon." To retrain the brain might seem silly, but it can work. Repeat for other objects that have a strong odor and that you need to smell again. So, like, this is Brian's butthole. This is Brian's butthole.
Familial smells for you that you really like.
Yeah.
I can see why you went to that.
I'm just trying to bulk up.
Scientists have tested olfactory training and found it works, particularly in older people. People who have lost their sense of smell can get anxious, depressed, or lose their appetite. I mean, dude, can you imagine just walking around smelling shit all day? Like
No.
you wouldn't want to put anything in it.
You know,
so gross.
You know, if you're struggling to really wrap your head around what that smells like, just try to remember the last time that you got shit on the bottom of your shoe and you really couldn't, like, you didn't know, like, it wasn't immediately obvious that you got shit on the bottom of your shoe. So, like, you got in your car or what, and you're just like, oh,
I hate that.
what the fuck? What's that smell?
When I
Is that shit?
when I first got a dog.
I didn't know what that sound was, but it's the fucking storm outside that might collapse this building.
I was
look at
wondering too.
Rupert, look.
Yeah,
That was
he
wild.
knows.
That was a wild sound. The power went out at my house, eh?
Oh no.
I am.
We could be losing power.
I was
here.
gonna say the
Or the roof could collapse.
Yeah,
It's one or the other.
One or the other.
I had something I was gonna say, but no, that take it away. It's gone.
All right. Well, here's another. Here's some 2021 energy right here.
Fuck me.
Death during sex isn't just something that happens to middle-aged men. Apparently, this is a fucking problem, and I
Really?
didn't know. Yeah,
Well, amongst who?
amongst humans,
Well,
as far as we can tell.
it can't be a widespread issue.
Wider than you
probably more
think.
widespread than you would think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sex has. I mean, honestly, any number of this happening is too much.
How many people do you know who died during sex?
You probably even if you did know someone who died from sex, you probably wouldn't know.
Right. Yeah.
I think this is
Because who's coming out there in their fucking, like, when you get your obituary in the newspaper, they're not like, Jeremy Saunders, he leaves behind his wife Bridie, and by the way, died by having sex with his girlfriend.
This is what the other problem is with anecdotal experiences is, like, I know like 4 people have had COVID, but yet it's everywhere.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like when you go, oh, like, who do I?
Yeah.
That can't be happening.
The interesting thing about that though is, like, imagine, like, I'm trying to really imagine a situation where like I'm having sex with Maddie and I die. Then, like, I mean, you're saying that they wouldn't say like died unexpectedly while having sex, but like
Yeah, you
it's
wouldn't.
really, I know.
I
they
mean,
wouldn't
Maddie
say,
might tell me that,
but
like at the
but, like,
funeral, being
it's
like, by the
really,
way, did you know?
like people are
he
gonna,
was
I
he
mean,
was mounting me.
but people are going to want to know, right? Like, people are going to want to. Not,
It was
not, like,
reverse
not whether or not you had, not whether or not you were having sex, but like people are gonna want to know what happened. Like, my mom would be like, "Well, what happened to him?" And
He had a
she would
heart
be like,
attack while he was fucking me. That's what happened.
right? Like, you would, but
I mean, someone would
but-
probably say it like that because they'd be so shocked.
right? Like, but it would come
He
out.
was fucking
right?
me and he died.
Wait, hold on. So tell me, how many people are
There
dying?
can't be-
right,
there
right.
can't be many.
So sex has many beneficial physical and psychological effects. We all know this,
I
including reducing high blood pressure, improving the immune system, and aiding better sleep. The physical act of sex and orgasm releases the hormone oxytocin, the so-called love hormone, which is important in building trust and bonding between people. But there is a dark side. People sometimes die during or shortly after sex. The incidence is, thankfully, extremely low and accounts for 0.6 of all cases of sudden death. But still, 0.6 of all cases of sudden death? That's too many, man.
Hold on, did you say 0.06?
No. Just 0.6.
0.6.
0.6 of all sudden
Percent of
deaths.
sudden deaths.
And sudden deaths are in their own subcategory.
What's
Yeah.
crazy? It is actually crazy though.
That's
I
a higher number than I would have thought. It would be like all cases of sudden death and having to do with dying during or after sex.
So
I would say like
Well, we can
Point
find out this number.
So
We can find out what actual number that represents. You
I
go,
know,
Brian. I'm going to find this number.
I know that.
I actually have it
3
here. I have it here.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
So
I mean,
3
we can work
people-
it off of this, and it's a lot easier.
3 people that I know through the canoe and kayak community that have died
from fucking.
No, have died from sudden cardiac arrest or like a heart attack, which is related to.
Now, do
or
you
could
know if
be-
they had sex?
Recently?
Like maybe 10 minutes after that heart attack?
I would
Like,
imagine
you don't know that because you just know they died from a heart attack.
I don't
So you might know someone who's died from having sex.
Possible,
Good.
yes. But what my point in saying this and bringing this up, because it is really sad, is that that in high performance sports, it can be not common, but
Bruce Lee.
there are higher rates of people dying from sudden cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
And so I imagine that if those people happen to be having sex while something like that happens, or before or after, it makes sense that that would account for something like 0.6%.
Yeah, well, they go on to say there are many reasons this happens to people. In most cases, it's caused by the physical strain of the sexual activity or prescription drugs, like drugs that treat erectile dysfunction, or illegal drugs such as cocaine, or both at the same time. The risk of any sudden cardiac death is higher as people age. A forensic post-mortem study from Germany of 32,000 sudden deaths over a 33-year period found that 0.2% of cases occurred during sexual activity. So 0.2% of 32,000.
Over 33 years.
Over 33 years, yeah. Sudden death occurred mostly in men, averaged age 59 years old, and most frequent cause was, of course, heart attack, also known as myocardial infarction. Studies of sudden cardiac death and sexual activity from the US, France, and South Korea show similar findings. Recently, however, researchers at St. George's University of London found that this phenomenon is not just limited to middle-aged men. The study, which is published in JAMA Cardiology, investigated sudden cardiac death in 6,487 cases, referred to the Center of Cardiac Pathology at St. George's between January 94 and August 2020. Of these, 17, which is 0.2%, occurred either during or within 1 hour of sexual activity. The average mean age of death was 38 years old, and 35% of the cases occurred in women, which is higher than in previous studies. These deaths were typically not caused by heart attacks, as seen in older men. In half of these cases, so 53%, the heart was found to be structurally normal, and a sudden abnormal heart rhythm called a sudden arrhythmic death syndrome, or SADS, was the cause of the death. Aortic dissection was the second largest cause, which is 12%. This is where the layers of the wall of the large artery from the heart supplying blood around the body tear, and blood flows between the layers, causing the heart to bulge and burst.
Is it wait? Isn't this crazy? What can you read the headline of this article again?
Stop having sex. You will die.
No, what is it actually?
Death during sex isn't just something that happens to middle-aged men.
Which is crazy because it really, what these numbers say is out of 33,000 people who died from sudden cardiac arrest, over 32,000 people over 33 years, 17 people.
No, this is a different study. This one is 6,847 cases. This is from JAMA. Out of 6,847, 17 occurred during or after sex.
The math on that, though, 0.2% on 32,000 was about 15-ish. Yeah, 50. So
this is 17.
Maybe 1 or 2 people a year die from this.
Yeah. Now,
according to this
how many people a year get struck by lightning?
Listen up, everybody.
More people.
Yeah, sure. But like, how many do you think?
How many people get struck by lightning a year?
It like
350.
It's like 1 in 3,000, is it not? Something like that, the odds?
We're quickly
1 in
Googling.
300,000? Am I making
A quick
that
Google here. Let's see. I mean, it's probably like
10,000.
the amount of people that get struck by lightning a year? Didn't we just talked about this? It's like shockingly not that
uncommon.
It's like shockingly common.
Yes.
Like it was like your odds
shockingly.
Shockingly. It was electrifyingly common.
You can probably ask Schmidt said that.
On average, each year in Canada, there are between 2 and 3 lightning-related deaths. Okay, so 2 to 3 people in Canada per year likely to die by getting struck by lightning, and out of that, 180 are struck with related injuries. Now, how many people do you know that have been struck by lightning?
I'm so surprised that
I know 3 people that have been struck by lightning.
Do you
now,
really?
Yep. Now, how many people do you know that have died fucking?
You don't know.
We don't know, but we probably do.
How many do you think? So how many people would? So,
How many people do you know died of heart attack?
So you know 3. Dude, how many people do each one of you know? Because you know 3 people who have been struck by lightning, and Taylor, you know 4 people who have
If
gotten
it's
COVID.
0.2%, you'd have to know 500 people that have had a heart attack to statistically know one person who died from fucking with a heart attack.
we can't possibly know this anecdotally. Yeah. We can't know anything anecdotally. We can only know things anecdotally and know nothing based on any data.
But the thing that I am pulling from this this article is that sex is a dangerous act, and so like if you are having sex, don't be surprised if your heart explodes.
Is there anything like just the creation like of this article? Like, is there any positive benefit to this being written?
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. It's just it's all statistics, right? Like there's benefits to that. Benefits to knowing.
It's interesting. I guess you could say it's interesting.
I think if we learned anything from this, it's that 1, doctors should be prescribing that people do not have sex, and the government should be funding more anti-sex campaigns,
or prescribing to have sex in national parks because you're probably going to be more calm. And your heart rate's not going to be so high,
and less likely to even go there because you don't have transportation.
Anti-sex campaigns are certainly higher on the list of priorities that I want the government to be prioritizing.
Fuck.
I'm gonna save this article about weed in the NFL until next week. But let's go right into what the hell.
That was some 2022 energy.
Yeah, you like that? A little bit of a surprise, right?
I think my heart just kind of.
I don't have anything prepped on this other than this video. Okay. Now, this video, just a heads up. This is actually a really sad video.
Okay.
Because what we're about to witness is this person that we're about to watch this video. I can almost guarantee you 100% are no longer alive. So what we're So this is what we're about to see is
statistically, like, you know how many people die a year, so it's not that surprising. Like how many people do you know who have died?
A lot. Like a lot.
So what we're gonna see here
like
is an account of hydrophobia. Do you know what hydrophobia is?
Scared of water?
Yes. And do you know how I don't know if this is the only way. I'm sure there's other ways, but do you know how typically how some people can get hydrophobia?
The near drowning experience.
I don't know. Maybe, but
a sudden recollection of what it's like to be in the womb?
No. So watch this video here. This guy has hydrophobia. There's a glass of water here.
Oh no!
And he literally is.
Oh no! He can't drink
he
water.
Literally can't drink it. He's revolted by water.
Oh, dude.
Is he gonna vomit?
Yeah, I think that's what's like. I think that is what's happening in his body. Is like there's like a almost. It's a wretched thing that he's holding in front of him. It's just water. I'm so surprised you guys don't know what this is from, and this is kind of quite fascinating. So.
Oh, I know.
So COVID? No, this is not COVID. No. Good guess though. Yeah. So what we just watched
mainstream
there,
media fear campaigns.
This is late stage rabies.
Wow.
When you get rabies, you develop full on hydrophobia.
I think I knew that.
And once you get this far in rabies has a 100% death rate if it's not treated before it reaches your your spine essentially.
Yeah.
And so once you get to this point, you cannot be cured.
Oh.
And the death as a result is
like really
truly torturous.
I've seen Cujo.
You cannot drink. You cannot take anything down. You're foaming, frothing at the mouth. But so whatever. I mean, I didn't really want to like dive into rabies in particular, but what I do want to kind of like focus on and just think about how fucking crazy it is that there is a virus that exists that can completely alter your your psychology and physiology to be revolted by water. Like, is that not one of the most, like, there's something very zombie-esque about that. There's something
there's something like
there's something horrifying about that.
There's different things like I think these are both resulting from ticks, but like ticks when they bite you, this is a little bit different, but ticks when they bite you, they release like a protein that you get bit by a mosquito, you recognize it. Like that's it's a response that your body has, that like there's something that's in there that you don't want. And ticks that like release a protein that inhibits you from feeling that they're biting you, so because they need to be on you for a long period of time. And then I think this is also resulting from Lyme disease, that some people develop an allergy to meat.
Yeah, I've heard that actually.
Huh.
That. I mean, like, so.
Didn't we talk about that?
Humans are herbivores, or not herbivores, but omnivores. So like, obviously that's not that big of a problem for a human, but like, if you do that, if that happened to a carnivore, then like that's going to be that animal's going to die, because they're not, psychologically they don't know to do that. So like, it is totally insane that an organism can just totally hijack your psychophysical state.
See, I was so confused when we started watching that video, because like seeing this person, an adult who is petrified of water, not drinking water, you're like, how did that person survive to be this age? So like, clearly there was had to be something that was like, had caused this sort of change in psychology.
Yeah, it's just reading up on hydrophobia here. It's pretty fucking wild. This refers to a set of symptoms later in the stages of an infection in which the person has a difficulty swallowing, shows panic when presented with liquids to drink, and cannot quench their thirst. Any mammal infected with the virus may demonstrate hydrophobia. Salvia production is greatly increased, and attempts to drink, or even the intention or suggestion of drinking.
Salvia or saliva?
Sorry, saliva. I got the drugs.
I was like, so they just
get high as fuck. No, saliva, sorry. Even the suggestion of drinking may cause excruciatingly painful spasms of the muscles of the throat and larynx.
Oh.
Since the infected individual cannot swallow saliva and water, the virus has a much higher chance of being transmitted, because it multiplies and accumulates in the salivary glands,
salvators,
and is transmitted through biting. Hydrophobia is commonly associated with furious rabies, which affects 80% of rabies-infected people. The remaining 20% may experience a paralytic form of rabies that is marked by muscle weakness, loss of sensation, and paralysis. This form of rabies does not usually cause fear of water.
Man, this is just eliciting like a severe appreciation for water.
I love water.
Like, I just love water so much.
I don't drink enough of it. I do drink enough of it, just in the form of like coffee.
Coffee, yeah, right. You get it in your coffee.
Now you know what the prevention for rabies is, right?
Rabies vaccine?
A vaccine, that's right. And so this entire piece is basically just here to show you that vaccines are not bad.
Wait, you don't get rabies vaccines, do you? Humans? Humans get rabies
vaccines? Of course. Yeah, dude, you get bit by a bat, you got to go get that rabies vaccine, or else you're going to get hydrophobia, bro.
Right, you get it. You don't get it prophylactically. You get it. You get it in response to like a bite.
I don't know. Did we get like rabies vaccines when we were kids?
I don't know. Good question. Do you know, Bri?
Nope.
I have no idea.
My dog's got one though.
I feel like you don't, but I don't know.
I don't think you do.
No, because I think it's just incredibly.
It's what you get bit.
I think it's just incredibly uncommon. Like when you scrape, like if you were to like get a nail in your foot, and they're like, you should get a tetanus shot, just to be safe.
Do you get a tetanus shot though when you're younger?
You do, but I think they re-administer them if you
booster
happen to, because don't. You're using controversial language, Brian. Stop it. And like they give it to you. They give it to that dog is gonna. This dog is gonna flip off that chair. The outdoors. I wonder, can the audience hear that? No, they won't be able to hear that.
Is that the wind?
It's the wind. It's probably not picking up on the mics, but we can add some crazy wind noises throughout this entire episode, so people can barely hear us.
Yeah. I don't think.
I'm not doing that on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that either. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether you. I don't think you get it as a kid, but you get a tetanus. You get like a re-up on tetanus, like because I think what typically happens is you like scrape your foot on something like something metal that could have rust on it, and then you tell that to a nurse or a doctor, and they're like, "When did you have your last tetanus shot?"
Then they infringe your freedom, and they send you to get a fucking
yeah. And you go, and they ask you that they ask you that question, and you go, I don't know.
See, I was coerced into getting my tetanus shot because I got super drunk and had to get my stomach pumped because I was taken in an ambulance to a hospital, and I had a scraped knee, I guess. And I said, "Can I leave the hospital?" And they said, "Not until you get a tetanus shot."
I didn't have, and that was only last week.
Yeah, and dude,
and look at me now.
Your body, not your choice when it comes to that.
Yeah.
So
kind of fucked if you ask me.
Well,
that's
folks,
why I'm picking up my truck this weekend.
Oh, fuck off! Don't even
to the Capitol.
Don't even get into
2022, baby. We're coming at you with that hot 2022 energy. If you like this episode, you can leave a rating or review on Apple Podcasts, or you can hit that rating on Spotify on the mobile app. And of course, if you're watching on YouTube here, leave a comment below, hit the subscribe button, and make sure you hit the bell icon so you know when we're putting up videos. Give it a like. Give it a like. Can't give it a thumbs down now. Fuck you, fucko. You can only like it, so you better.
You can. We just can't see it.
Thanks for tuning in. We love you all.
Okay.
And by the way, come to our live show, our virtual live show. It's happening on the last Wednesday of the month. That is
23rd,
January the 23rd,
February.
And by that I mean February the 23rd, because
short month.
time's flying. Time's flying.
Time really is flying. And if you think that you can beat our letter about leaving a cult, then please.
Because it's a competition.
It's a competition, and it's an ongoing competition. And
I'm sure the person who took the time to write that in will feel great knowing that at some point somebody else could write something even better than what they wrote.
Yeah.
And then hear that their letter of leaving a cult has lost to the to the.
Kind of honestly, if we've helped cure your cancer though in some way, I won't be the judge of this, but I'm just saying,
if we help cure your cancer, then for sure,
just write us a letter.
If that's the case, then for sure we have coerced you into thinking that, and we most certainly are a cult.
Yes.
Just saying. So maybe don't send us that email.
Then you can leave the cult and then let us know about it.
And then
But before you leave the cult,
Sick Boy Podcast.
You have to get on a flight and come down to Mexico with us because we've got this great treatment for you.
Jesus Christ.
That involves.
All right.
Anyway.
And if you want to be on the show, go to sickboypodcast.com/contact.
Oh, fuck you guys. Not fuck. Fuck you guys. Not fuck you guys.
I know, it was
fuck you guys.
I know. It was confusing intonation, but I did understand.
Okay, perfect. I love you. This is what I really wanted to say. And I also love that guy who sent us that link. Just texted you that link for that article that you referred to earlier. Jeff Lonehas. Thanks to him for helping it make the show happen. I mean, he essentially just became a producer by sending that article. And if you want to become a producer effectively, you can join our Discord and our Patreon and send some links in the chat, and we'll talk about your stuff on the podcast. But also thank you to Rich O'Coin for the theme music, and to everybody else who makes this show happen.
That is it for this week.
I'm Brian.
I'm Taylor.
And I'm Jeremy, and this is Sick Boy.